Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Ermenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach. More about me you can find on alexanderermenkov.com. And today I'm continuing my series Daily Reality with Alex, where during 2023, I'm going to express myself on a daily basis about how I'm ruling my reality and how reality actually works. And today we are going to speak about the limitations of reality, or why reality is giving us limitations. And this is a very delivering for all of us understanding once we realize that this is one of the things we cannot change, and it is done for a purpose for all of us to experience daily limitations. And when I realized this, I was so happy. And when I realized that actually it is not up to us to change something in the reality. I know a lot of people are resisting the matrix and they don't like it. And they're constantly trying to change, to transform, to transcend. And I'm going now to give you my experience why we are to learn to use the limitations of reality instead of just trying to escape, to go into this escapism moods and so on and so on. So let's start with the beginning, and you are going to see how everything comes into line with our experience here in this earth realm. So when we go into the way creation was started, very little people are asking themselves why we are, in a sense, came to this idea about creation, why there was not just nothingness, and why something started to exist. And of course, by deduction, we know that there is creator, or at least we presuppose that there should be a creator, because in a sense there is a creation. Anyhow, even if people are trying to exclude the idea and the possibility of a creator to exist, it is still very hard to explain the beginning. But the more important thing is not how things were created, but why we today in 2023 are experiencing exactly this type of reality that we are experiencing. Because for the human beings of today, this is what is important. And when we go into the beginning, everything in reality, in order reality to exist, in order creation to exist, the first thing that appeared was a limitation, and also was the separation. So a lot of people are thinking about what was the initial desire, what was the initial intent that created creation in the God figure and in the being that created everything that we are now experiencing. And for sure, based on our own personal egoistic experience, we can to some extent understand our biggest desire, which is actually to be 100% autonomous, to be 100% independent, to be 100% free, to be in such a state that we are always full, that we don't need anything, that we are 100% fulfilled. And we love this type of state where it's only us and nothing else. And in the beginning, it was the same. There was nothing else but the creator. And the problem that appears, and according to me, this is why experience started, because in order separation to start, in order limitation to appear, in order creation to begin, the biggest desire and the intent that was behind this is the intent of expression. And behind the intent of expression is the desire to give away. So an exchange mechanism was created where the biggest desire and the biggest expression of giving gave birth, you see, it's the same semantic, gave birth to the creation. That's why when you hear that it's much more blessed or it's much more beautiful to give than to receive, and of course the automative mode when you don't need to give because you don't need to receive and you're 100% autonomous being. And when you think about how and what was before creation, when nothing exists, there was no expression. Once the creators decided to express, immediately with this expression, the necessity of giving existed. And that's why in order in the ancient text to express that the creator loves the being, it is said that God gave his only begotten son, or this is the only way love can be expressed, by the giving principle. And that's why in a lot of ideas and teachings, this giving principle is so important, because there are two cycles that are in the moment working in our reality. The first cycle is when we become giving beings, and the second cycle, which is the destructive cycle, is when we become taking beings. Once we are consuming life, once we are taking out from life, we want for ourselves, we want to experience life, and this is the primary desire of ours. We are coming into the cycle of destruction because we are coming into the opposite of how and why everything was created to be. Everything was created to be give away, individualized, separated consciousnesses or units or whatever you want to call them. And then it was created a new type of wholeness where everything is to give away its own separated uniqueness. Because the beautiful thing about the human beings and all the beings, that every one of them is 100% unique, and all of us can actually express a very unique essence that nothing around, nobody has ever had or is going to have. Its 100% uniqueness, and reality is waiting for these beings to express this uniqueness in the outside. And actually, when we think about the purpose of life, a lot of us think that the purpose of life is because of us. Actually, the purpose of my personal life is for the others. The purpose of your personal life is for the others. So actually, we exist because of everything else, and everything else exists because of us. I know a lot of us are just wanting to find the purpose and meaning of life regarding themselves, but it is the opposite. The purpose and meaning of life is for others. And when we are developing the levels of desires, and you can explore these philosophies, a lot of it is developed in this Kabbalah type of teachings, but I'm expressing everything from ruling reality perspective and based on everything that I have learned from the ancient texts, and specifically the Bible, regarding explanations about reality. And I know there are a lot of discussions, there are a lot of people that are saying and are going strongly against Christianity, or are going strongly against the Jewish text, and so on and so on. And meanwhile, they're using them a lot because it's the imprint of the ancient people and the way they were thinking about reality. So from historical, so from psychological, from even quantum mechanics type of thinking, it is important to extract as much as possible from all these ideas, because anyhow, they're still influencing us today. And as we know that there is nothing new under the sun, it is still the same things that we, the human beings, are experiencing or exploring, and they're giving us the reason and the meaning why. So when creation started, the first separation is between the realm of forms, the realms of individualizations, and on the other hand, was and is the oneness and the formlessness. So the inner and the outer world were immediately created. There is no being in the existence that has not these two worlds, the inner world and everything that is perceived by the senses. It depends what type of senses each type of being has, because okay, with the human being have 5 senses, but the other beings that are above us and are different type of consciousness, maybe they have other type of senses through which they are able to experience the existential, the physical matter reality of the forms. Without forms, without flow, without energy, without vibration, for the beings, it's impossible to experience reality. And all of these things are limitations. And when you look in the teachings, for example, when man was created and it was giving him the perfect condition of a garden where to exist, immediately at least one limitation was put for him, and this limitation was not to eat from the tree of good and evil. Of course, there are now a little different explanations about this tree of eating of the knowledge of the good and evil. And the interesting thing is that even in the experience of the perfectness of reality and whatever we are trying to dream about, there is going to be at least one limitation, at least one separation. And it doesn't matter how enlightened a human being becomes. It doesn't matter how much the being can transform the forms and can understand the etheric reality or whatever we are describing that is out there, and how much we as beings are trying to express our limitlessness and our inside being. Still, because we are expression beings, we are to understand that limitations is always going to be part of our experiences. So once we open our eyes, once we go into the daily reality, it is good to give the right labels to everything that we are experiencing. Of course, the first limitation is our body. This is the thing that we are experiencing the most. Then the houses, then everything around us. Then we see all the limitations within us, how we are willing to express something and we cannot do it, how we are learning all the time, we are developing skills. We can even not walk the moment we are born in the physical matter reality, where we are outside of the womb. Of course, where we are inside of the womb of the mother, it is the same as this allegorical representation in the Garden of Eden. There, the human being doesn't need anything. And let's say, which is the limitation when you are in the womb of your mother. There, the only limitation is that as more you are growing inside, the only possibility to exit is through a so small channel, the birthing channel, and it looks like impossible, but nature has created this first effort for the human being in order to pop up in the next phase of reality. And this is quite a limitation. Of course, there was a limitation before this. When conception happens, it is also a very big processes that are happening in order conception to start. Then there is a big limitation when the birth process is happening. And then when we end up as babies, then a lot of other limitations start happening, and we are constantly learning, adapting, absorbing, and little by little we are able to express more of our limitless being inside of us. And for example, my body is now 48 years old. It is soon going to be 49 years old. And now it is able to express a lot of things without having borders, without saying, no, I'm not going to do this because I'm ashamed and I don't want to express myself. And a lot of us are not willing to express ourselves. But this is why we are here on this planet and in this realm. We are here with only one purpose: to express ourselves. And this is not for ourselves, it is for all the others that we are actually being in collaboration with. So long term, our daily efforts are that expression is hard, that expression takes time, that it takes efforts. It is something that creates for us discomfort. But once we learn how to express more and more in the limitations of reality, we are collapsing two worlds: the world of 100% limitless being that is inside, and the outside reality of limitations. And then we can see this in different areas of reality. Of course, in our mind is the first limitation. It is called the internal individual part of our reality. And there we have a lot of limiting beliefs, we have limiting imaginations. We can, if we explore, there are a lot of limitations in our mind. And by the essence of who we are able to expand more and more the mind, the human mind limitations in the mindfulness realm, in order to be able to express things that are quite different from our initial states. And every year of our growth, we are able to express more deeply, more precise, to go much more into the realm of the unseen, into the realm where there are no forms, and to educe the knowledge and to be able to communicate it into the physical matter reality, and to use what is inside, what is in the invisible, to extract it and to apply it more and more into the physical matter reality. And this gives us bigger power of expression and of imprint upon the physical matter reality. Then the other thing that is happening is that through our process of expression, we receive a feedback that is imprinted in our inner being, and then it's a transactional process where we express. But also, in order to express, we are to allow and to open ourselves to receive whatever and what is, and to be able to transmute it, to be able to transform it, to be able to digest it, to be able to compute it, to be able to put it in the right order inside of our limitless being. So we are constantly in a process of learning and de-learning, in a process of formation, the process of creating forms, and also in the process of deconstructing. So we are constantly learning to construct in the physical matter reality, to understand, and when we see things in the physical matter reality, to be able to change the context, to be able to see from different angles. And actually what we are doing, we are deconstructing in order our inner being, where there are no forms, where there are no limits, to be able to feel, but not only the human type of being feeling, but the inner feeling of knowing and understanding, and the so-called coherence, that everything that is happening, we are communicating and understanding each other, our inner being and our external reality. And of course, because it looks like it's thyroidal fields that are constantly expressing themselves, because expression, we think that it is just words, that it is just action, that this is just movement, and in the physical materiality it looks like so, but everything that we do in the BO, in the physical materiality, has its resonance and its expression in the non-physical materiality. Everything we do in the non-physical materiality has its expression in the physical materiality. So we are constantly transforming both of the worlds, and we are constantly impressed by the physical materiality that is imprinting in our invisible, immaterial, non-seen being, but also our internal essence is constantly manifesting things in the physical materiality. And of course, some of us are more focused on one of the processes than the others. For example, I like a lot to manifest in the physical materiality, to understand how the processes are doing, to see how things are allowed for me, but also long-term, I am to learn myself how to absorb, how to not be afraid, to accept everything as it is in the physical materiality in any given moment as the perfect condition for my own personal experience. And this is how we work with the limitless being inside of us and the limitations that are constantly coming into our reality, or we are part of forming them. Because it doesn't matter how much we are expressing in the outside reality, how much we are influencing the outside reality, how much beings are able to draw out from our essence, because this is another very interesting paradox, that everything we are, everything that we are expressing, it is not meant, and the purpose of our own being is not for ourselves, it is to feed the others. It is like we are two different ecosystems in the moment. I'm one part of ecosystem, and everything that is created through me, through my insight, is feeding like an ecosystem other beings that are attracted from the physical materiality that is expressed. And then I am also able to feed from the ecosystems of other beings. So we are not feeding ourselves directly from our own ecosystem, but we are giving away our own ecosystem, and we are feeding ourselves from others' ecosystem. And that's why the human being was created in a way that it is encouraged to become a giving spirit instead of living being. And this is the process that is happening here on earth, and it is going into transformational process. And I know this because of Corinthians 15, where it's written that the second Adam is going to be a life-giving spirit, while the first Adam was a living being. For me personally, a living being means that we want, like the small babies, everything to be about us, everything and all the resources to be only for me. This is the lowest level of existence, where we need everything. If you allow my lowest level of existence, I'm able 100% to consume everything in reality, and am able to expand so much if it's given me enough power to consume everything and to become the biggest consumational being that everyone else is working for or is feeding. I can become such a beast that everything in reality is like I'm the black hole and everything else from the form realm is drawn into me. And it's about you and it's about everyone else. So we have the two biggest potential: to absorb everything from reality, or to long-term go into a path of giving away. And the more we give, the more we receive, the more we give, the more we receive. The more we take, more is taken for us. The more we take, more is taken for us. And then we are going into the other circle. And this is where morality comes. Because a lot of people are trying to exclude morality, but reality and morality are, in a sense, working together, because another interesting thing about the human beings is that we decided to eat of the fruit of knowledge of the good and evil. And as you remember the story, it was said that we are now going to become like gods. Why we are going to become like God? Because the God, the creators, are judges. They can discern what is good and what is evil, what is beneficial for reality and what is non-beneficial for reality. So through reality, we are also experiencing morality, because long-term, from the human being, the direction is towards the human being becoming long-term a judge. The problem is that we know that we are not to be judgmental in the moment, because we cannot understand everything from the process in the way we are experiencing reality, because we are very subjective beings. We are very strongly into solipsism. We are interested in only what matters for us, and we are creating, of course, our own personal reality, or at least this is our realm of probabilities where we can collapse. But long term, we are developing also ability of discernment, and we can grow into knowing the good and the evil, the beneficial and the non-beneficial for the creation. So when creation started with all the separateness in order reality to happen, then the direction of all the creation is now going into the opposite direction, where everything which is part of the separateness is to understand what is its purpose and meaning in the perspective from the wholeness, and how it can collaborate and how it can become purposeful and meaningful giveaway entity and conscious unit in the wholeness of reality. It is an important principle, because it is going to help us all in the daily reality, where we are constantly seeing the feedback, what type of value we were for the others today. And I remember when 2 years ago I started my journey, because before this I was a being that 100% enjoyed myself, enjoyed my own personal successes in reality, and I was not willing to be a giveaway being, because I didn't understand the reason why. I wanted just to be a self-sufficient being, and I didn't want to interact with anything else in the physical matter reality, because I'm waiting for my afterlife, where I'm going to have different experiences. And a lot of the beings now are just strongly not willing to interact with the limitations of reality and to understand that this is where we are destined to be. But Alex, a lot of us are just willing to hear the teachings, and we want to ascend, we want to enlighten, we want to become more etherical, and this is where we want to go. We want, through self-development, to grow so much that we are leaving the limitations and we can float in the formless reality, and this body is just not helping us, and this is their direction. And there are forces that are drawing the human beings toward this type of experiences, but it is not the way reality was supposed and is supposed to have its focused. We as human beings are supposed to understand both of the worlds, but we are long-term to understand, and we are the beings that have been given the responsibility to understand the limitations, to know how to transmute them, to know how to work with them, to know how to use our inner being into moving into these reality limitations and to transform it, to transcend it, and to be able to express something different than what the reactions of the limitations that are formed around us are expecting from us. So we are constantly to give away not what is expected from the physical matter reality to express. This is the pressure of the outside reality towards us, and all of us are not liking it because then it's suppressing our authenticity. But once we see all that is expected from us, once we understand and say, aha, I quite well understand what is the outer world expecting from me, but I'm not going to give the outer world what is expecting from me. I'm going to go deep inside of me. I'm going to go into the relationship with my creator, and from the source, I'm going to express only the essence for which I am here, and I'm going to enter into my personal purpose and meaning, and I'm going to give away anyway what I'm supposed to give away and express in the physical matter reality. And this once again validates that we are expression beings. Everything from the outside is telling us and is shouting in us. This is called the noise. It's shouting for us to retranslate, to be what is demanded from us. But this is the world of forms and limitations. Once we know that we are limitless beings, once we understand the ruling reality principles, and once we understand the inner world, the world that is invisible, then we are going to know that we are presupposed to be able to express our inner essence in this physical matter reality. And of course, all of this is not possible to happen without developing a relationship, but not only with beings that are possible to be channeled. I mean, this is some level of understanding where a lot of beings are trying to go into the easy answers of channeling, but this is something that is making us more and more dependent on the outside crutches. But basically, our idea is much more deeper. Our idea is we to stand up, to go into the unknown, to enter our own personal potential, because long-term, we are not to give away our channeling power, but to express our own personal essence, even if we don't understand it. And that's why the power of intuition, the power of the small signal is very important, because everything happens when we understand and start listening to the small signal and not to all the noises. Only then we will be able to properly understand. And of course, this is so beautiful because we are long-term destined to express things from the inside and the invisible worlds, from the so-called realms that are with different labels. I don't want to label them now here, but the important thing is to understand who is the ruler of our own reality and why we are supposed to have only one connection, and this connection is to be directly with the source of creation. This is our destiny. This is how we are presupposed to be. And that's why we have this archetype of Christ. And that's why we have this archetype of the Savior, in which I'm not going to go today into, but there are so many things that are so complex and are so much in necessity that all of us are to draw in and to understand the non-physical matter reality, because it is more than 95% of everything that is, and the physical matter reality of limitation is only 5% of everything that we are experiencing anyhow. So enjoy your reality. Don't be worried that reality is giving us limitations. This is the purpose of a limitless being, to experience it. I know the easiest way is a limitless being to be 100% limitless and to experience nothing else. But then we are not going to be able to understand who we are. Then we are not going to cherish and to understand how precious is our existence, how precious we are for the creation, how precious each of us as an individual is for the Creator. Why so much forces, so much power, so much structure is put into supporting of each of one's fundamental essence of expression of ourselves. And we are so different that it is so beautiful to enjoy the uniqueness of all of you that are watching me, and of course to enjoy the uniqueness of all the beings that are around, because this is where is the essence of me being able to receive and to understand also reality from other beings. And this is, of course, part of other sessions where I'm going to express more about, of course, I remember I wanted to speak more about why we are constantly receiving what we don't want in reality and how we are able to shift this. But of course, I think more of you are understanding that the key is how to become a giveaway creatures, because reality is not working in a direct linear way. We are not directly going into the source in order to receive. We are directly going into providing through ourselves for others, and then indirectly everything that is beneficial for us, we are just accepting it as a gift in gratitude and thankfulness. So thank you for watching today. Enjoy your reality, enjoy your Sundays, enjoy your rejuvenation, and the most beautiful thing is enjoy your next week of reality experiences. Bye-bye.